Lungs are very important vital organs in our body, which are responsible for oxygenation of blood. And in a healthy person, the lung is a very soft, elastic, spongy structure, while the cadaveric lungs, which we are going to observe during OSPE, are going to be very hard as they are embalmed and a little bit shrunken also. So in the lungs, we're going to observe the external features of the lung, which are apex, directed towards the thoracic inlet and also extending into the root of neck. Then we have the inferior surface, which is also known as the base and also known as the diaphragmatic surface. The surface of the lung, which is on the inner aspect of the thoracic wall, is known as costal surface. So it extends anteriorly, laterally, and also posteriorly. Then we have a medial surface. The borders of the lungs are three: anterior border extending from apex to the inferior border. Inferior border is outlining the inferior surface or base of the lung, and posterior border is close to the paravertebral region, and it is starting from the apex extending up to the inferior border. Fissures are dividing the lungs into lobes. There are one on the left side and two on the right side, right? So this is the oblique fissure and this is the horizontal fissure. Now we'll observe the features of all these aspects in detail in the next slides. The apex of both lungs is blunt and directed upwards, and it lies 2 to 3 centimeter above the medial 1/3 of clavicle, covered by cervical part of parietal pleura and suprapleural membrane, and is grooved anteromedially by the subclavian artery, which is crossing this region. The base or the diaphragmatic surface is the inferior surface of the lungs, which is lying on the diaphragm and separated from liver on the right side and stomach spleen on the left side. As the right dome of the diaphragm is higher because of the large liver underlying it, so the concavity of the right lung is higher or deeper than that of the left lung. This surface is separated from the costal and medial surfaces by the sharp inferior border. The costal surface is the convex surface underlying the thoracic wall, and two fissures are clear on the surface on the right lung, whereas one fissure is seen on the left lung. These fissures are going to divide the lungs into lobes. In the left lung, the lobe above the oblique fissure is the superior lobe, and below the oblique fissure is the inferior lobe. While in right lung, the lobe above the lateral part of the oblique fissure and horizontal fissure is known as the superior lobe. Between the horizontal and oblique fissure is the middle lobe, and below the oblique fissure is the inferior lobe. The oblique fissure starts 5 to 6 centimeter below the apex, that is 2.5 inches almost from the apex, at the level of third thoracic vertebrae, and it ends on the inferior border opposite the 6th costochondral junction and 5 centimeter from the median plane. Then the horizontal fissure in the right lung we can observe starting from anterior border, which is lying at the level of 4th costal cartilage, up to the oblique fissure. medial surface of the lungs is divided into two parts. The anterior part is called mediastinal surface, as it is related to mediastinum, and it also has the hilum, which is the root of the lung structure passing in or out of that part. We can also observe pulmonary ligament extending from the root of the lungs. Then we have the vertebral part of the medial surface, which is associated with the vertebral column and is lying in the paravertebral region along with the posterior border. Posterior border extends from the apex of the lung, passing through the paravertebral region up to the inferior border here, and it separates the mediastinal surface from the costal surface. Anterior border extends from the apex to the inferior border here, and it separates the mediastinal surface from the costal surface anteriorly. And on the left side, we can observe here that the anterior border is indented, and this is known as the cardiac notch. And due to this indentation, the lower edge of the anterior border is protruding like a tongue-like process, and this process is known as lingula. This process is also taken as a rudimentary middle lobe in some books. And then the inferior border, which is surrounding all around the inferior surface or diaphragmatic surface, and it separates the diaphragmatic surface from mediastinal surfaces on the medial side and costal surfaces on the lateral side. Now there are differences between the right and left lung, also observed in gross external features, and there are differences in the internal structure as well. Here we'll discuss the gross external differences. First of all, the right lung is larger, heavier, and wider, but its height is lower than that of the left lung, as the diaphragmatic surface is deeper, so it is a bit shorter. While the left lung is longer, but it is narrower and lighter. The weight of the right lung is approximately 700 grams, while of the left lung is 600 grams. The right lung has two fissures, the oblique fissure and the horizontal fissure, which divides it into three lobes, the superior, middle, and inferior lobe, while the left lung has only one fissure, which is the oblique fissure, and it divides into two lobes, the superior and inferior lobe. The anterior border of the right lung is almost straight, while the anterior border of the left lung is interrupted by the cardiac notch, and it also presents the tongue-like process called lingula. So these are the external or gross appearance differences observed in both lungs. The detail of the root of lung will be discussed in next slides. Arrangement of structures and content is important in the roots, so observe them carefully. When we cut the root of the lung close to the mediastinal surface, we can observe the structure passing in and out of the hilum or root of the lung. This area is a wedge-shaped area. The structures of the root of the lung are surrounded by a pleural sleeve or mesopneumonium, which is extension of pleura over the hilum, and a downward extension of the pleura from the root of the lung is known as pulmonary ligament. So we can observe the main structures here. Generally speaking, the contents of the hilum are pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, principal bronchi, which are associated with bronchial vessels. But there are differences between the right and left hilar structures. But here we can observe that the veins are lying anterior-most and inferior-most. So when the veins are dilated due to the blood flow, they descend a bit in the pulmonary ligament. So Between the two layers of pulmonary ligaments is loose connective tissue. So it is a space provided for the descent of pulmonary veins when they are filled up. Now, observing the right hilum, it can be observed that the principal bronchus has already divided, and the bronchi observed here are known as eparterial and hyparterial bronchi. Pulmonary arteries, it can be seen as a single channel, and if cut very close, the two branches of the pulmonary arteries are seen. Generally, we observe only one pulmonary artery at the hilum, and the bronchus above the pulmonary artery is called eparterial bronchus, and below the pulmonary artery is hyparterial bronchus. You can observe that the bronchus is lying in a posterior plane along with the bronchial vessels, which are also lying posteriorly. Pulmonary artery is lying in the middle plane. The pulmonary veins, there are two pulmonary veins. The superior pulmonary vein is lying in the anteriormost part of the hilum, while inferior pulmonary vein is lying in the lowermost part of the hilum. On the mediastinal surface of the right lung, we can also observe some impressions, which are the impressions of right-sided structures of the mediastinum. We can observe the impression, cardiac impression. The main upper part of that impression is occupied by the right atrium and auricle, while the lower part is formed by the small part of right ventricle. As the veins are lying on the right side, we can observe the impression for the superior vena cava, above the cardiac impression, and then above that is the impression for right brachiocephalic vein, and we can also observe the impression of azygous vein. The azygous vein is arching over the root of right lung. Above that is the impression for trachea. Posterior to the root of right lung is the esophageal impression along with the azygous vein. The right vagus nerve is passing posterior to the root of right lung, while the right phrenic nerve is passing anterior to the root of right lung. In the left hilum, we can observe pulmonary artery superiorly. The left main bronchus is lying inferior to the pulmonary artery, and it doesn't divide early, so we cannot observe the branches, secondary branches. Then we can observe the superior pulmonary vein and then the inferior pulmonary vein. Their location is the same. The anteriormost and inferiormost part of the hilum is occupied by the pulmonary veins, so that they can descend into the pulmonary ligament. The bronchial vessels and the bronchial lymph nodes are associated with the bronchus in the posterior region of the hilum. Now, observing the relations and impressions of the mediastinal surface of left lung, we can observe large cardiac impression along with the cardiac notch of the anterior border. This impression is for the left ventricle mainly. Then we have the arterial impressions as the arteries are lying on the left side. So the impression of arch of aorta is over the root of left lung. Posteriorly, the impression is for the descending thoracic aorta. Superior to the arch, we can observe the impression for subclavian artery, and thoracic duct is also crossing this region, and the tracheal impression can also be observed. Then anterior to the root of lung, the phrenic nerve is passing, while the vagus nerve is passing posterior to the root of lung. So you can observe the notching of the lung near the apex region by the subclavian artery. Vertebral surfaces of the both lung are related to the T1 to T10 vertebrae, and the hilum is importantly lying against the vertebral bodies of T5, T6, T7 vertebrae. So hilum extends from the 5th to 7th thoracic vertebrae. In the end, I'm going to discuss the surface marking of the lungs. The surface marking of the visceral pleura is same as that of the lungs, while parietal pleura we have discussed already with the reflections. Now, observing here, the apex of the lung is the part associated with the cervical parietal pleura, and the apex can be marked 2.5 centimeter above the medial 1/3 of the clavicle, and it is lying in the supraclavicular fossa here, which is a depression on above the clavicle. Then from here, the anterior border can start from the sternoclavicular joint, and then at the sternal angle it comes to the median plane. In the median plane on the right side, the anterior border can be marked up to the right 6th sternocondral joint. The anterior border of the left lung, it deviates from the 4th costal cartilage 4 centimeter away from the medial plane up to the 6th costal cartilage to present the region of cardiac notch. So the lungs anterior border is further deviated in the cardiac notch region than the pleural layer, and the bare area and the pericardium here in the notch region is not overlapped by lung, only by pleura. The lower border of the lungs lie 2 ribs above the pleural line of reflection. In the mid-clavicular line, it is at the level of 6th rib, while in mid-axillary line, it is at the level of 8th rib, and in posterior aspects, it is at the level of 10th rib. So here it ends posteriorly 2 centimeter lateral to the 10th thoracic spine, and from here onwards, we trace the posterior border, which is traced from here to the apex. Due to the difference between the line of reflections of pleura and lungs, there are some areas where pleural cavity is devoid of lungs during expiration. So talking about stab wounds in mid-axillary lines, which is frequently asked in the examination. In mid-axillary line, if the stab wound is below the 10th rib, then it will not damage pleura or the lungs. So it will not penetrate the pleural cavity. Stab wounds between 8th and 10th rib, in expiration especially, will penetrate the pleural cavity but not touch the lungs. Stab wounds above the 8th rib will damage the lungs and also penetrate the pleural cavity first. With this section is ending, and next time we will observe the internal features and the conducting and respiratory portion of the lungs along with the clinical anatomy. Thank you.